Shalom Task Force mission is to combat domestic violence and foster healthy and safe relationships in the Jewish community. And we do that through 3 primary services. We have a hotline chat line, it's probably most famous for that, where survivors, victims, and their families can call and they're heard.
For the first time, and many times they just call to talk or to cry or to get support and really don't know what they want coming out of it. And it's just a place for them to open up and not be judged.
We have a legal services program that helps survivors from consultation to representation, both based in and civil court system. And we have an education program, which is our program that we go into schools and communities. We work with mental health professionals, Rabbanim, Rebbitzins, around how do we build healthy relationships and prevent domestic violence in our community.
Credit for the founding 30 years ago of Shalom Task Force goes to Nahama Wolfson, who was truly a visionary in her time. She gathered a group of women, myself included, and began to question how we can address the issue of domestic abuse. That's how our hotline started. When we started our education program, it happened because women on the hotline would say, "Nobody ever told me this." If somebody would have said something, if someone would have told me that the feeling that I have is not okay, maybe I wouldn't be where I am.
It really is the address for survivors of domestic violence to get the help they need, and we're the place that's going to help prevent future abuse and build a supportive, healthy community.
The impact that I've seen Shalom Task Force have over the last 30 years is remarkable. I remember in the early days, discussions about the slogans and how to get it, something that people kind of knew about and saw and were aware of. And now it's known by households, it's known by communities, it's known by Rebbitzins and by rabbis.
Shalom Task Force is clearly a resource that pretty much every rabbi in our world is aware of.
I think Shalom Task Force has done an incredible job at bringing awareness to something that may have been shoved a little bit, swept under the carpet, something that people didn't want to speak of, and has put it at the forefront of people's minds.
It's the place that everybody knows to turn to when there's an issue of some sort of domestic abuse or even just proactive education.
During COVID, we launched a really exciting new program called Purple Fellowship. Purple is the color for domestic violence prevention, and it's a leadership program through the lens of gender violence and healthy relationships. It's helping our youth, juniors and seniors in Jewish day schools throughout the country and Canada, learn about what does it mean to become a leader in the Jewish community and understand and be able to speak around issues of healthy relationships and domestic violence.
For our future, it's so important that these kids in high school feel that this is not a taboo topic, this is something that they're educated about, and that our schools are really bought into that is really great. If you want the organization to continue to grow and to serve a community that is really changing, we need the young people involved.
So I met Gabby and Hannah when they joined our Purple Fellowship back in the fall of 2022. And from the get-go, they both stood out as natural-born leaders. They took a cause that they're passionate about, and they showed that no matter your age and no matter your resources or who you were, what time you had, everyone has the opportunity to make a difference. That showed through their work, Plain and Go Purple Day, and really shines now as they share being co-presidents of our Young Leadership Board.
What we've been doing so far and what we're going to be doing this year is basically just overseeing the ambassadors program and the young leaders of Shalom Task Force in all different schools all over the country.
We help bring initiatives to schools, and we help establish Shalom Task Force's presence within individual communities and schools where there might not be such a strong knowledge of the organization. And then Gabby and I are going to work to pull together all of those individual school communities into like a larger youth body of Shalom Task Force.
It's really important for people to realize that it's not a generational thing. Domestic abuse can happen at any point in anyone's life, and that it's really important that people know they can reach out to Shalom Task Force. Looking back, I'm so glad that I now know about Shalom Task Force so I can use it as a resource for myself if I ever need it, and for any friends or family that would need Shalom Task Force's help.
And Gabby's the sort of person that even at 3 years old, we were on our way back from a grocery store excursion, and she took note that there was an old man struggling to get across the street with a bunch of groceries. And she said to my husband, "Dad, we have to go help him." And she was 3. She's just always been that sort of person that jumps into something and helps.
One of my role models in life in general, but especially in this leadership part of my life, are both my parents. They're both the kindest, humblest people I've ever met in my entire life, and both are all about never being a bystander.
When the opportunity to become involved with the Purple Fellowship and Shalom Task Force caught my eye, I really thought, like, of course I should take this. Of course, like, to be a good person and to just, I think, fulfill your duty of Tikkun Olam, you should give back to your community. I've had incredible examples in my life that have just exemplified what it means to give back to your community. My mom was always in charge of school chesed drives. This constant concept of giving back, it was always present in my life.
I've known Hannah since she was born, and her family for a much longer time than that. This is a family that is committed to Jewish community.
Nothing exemplified their leadership more than after October 7th, Gabby and Hannah came to us and said, what can we do? We see our friends struggling. They don't know how to navigate their feelings at the moment. They don't know how to be supportive of others. How are they going to navigate social media? And within 2 weeks of them coming to us with this question, they had an entire night of support plan for teens across the country. They always think there could be more being done. If they gave it 100%, they think they should be giving it 105%. And that kind of attitude is exactly why they're the next gen leaders. We hope they're with Shalom Task Force for many years to come, but we know wherever they put their energy and their spirits, they're lucky to have them.
Shalom Task Force was birthed by volunteers, and it's been run by volunteers primarily since its inception.
I don't know what Shalom Task Force would be without Esther Williams. She's been at Shalom Task Force from the start.
From the early years when I remember being just an idea until how much it's grown now. My mom's not alive anymore, unfortunately, to see it. It's really, really incredible to see what it's grown into and the impact it's had on our community.
They were there and they gave of themselves when nobody knew they were giving of themselves. They made sure every victim survivor in our community had support, had services, when they didn't get any recognition, when nobody knew they were doing the work.
Didn't matter what time of day, what time of night, if the organization needed her and needed her wise advice or her time, her efforts, she was there.
It was really a way of life, and that's something that left a deep impression on me and something that I think growing up I took for granted, thinking that everyone's mom did that. Only once I got older and realized that the devotion continued and realizing, the amount of time and effort that she puts into it, was I able to appreciate, the full impact and devotion she has to the organization.
When we started out, I really thought like we were going to change the world in 5 minutes. I said, this is going to be easy. It wasn't easy at all. It really was a lot of baby steps of changing the way people saw things, the way people thought. And we've come to a place now where I believe across the spectrum, the name Shalom Task Force is respected.
When you become part of our staff, it's really becoming part of a family, and it's led by Esther and her incredible leadership and her commitment to the work that we do.
One of the things that, my mother has always been great at is when you know something's right, you go full steam ahead. It doesn't matter the public backlash, what it's going to look like. And I think that message really bleeds through the whole Shalom Task Force, which is honesty and being open, and everybody just should be comfortable and be in a healthy space.
I'm grateful to my dear mother who really set an example of giving of yourself that was incomparable.
As a role model, there's nothing greater to see than a parent who is so devoted not only to their children, but to make sure that everybody has a healthy home to be a part of.
My real hope for the future is that we don't need to exist. I don't see that happening tomorrow, and until that does, I really believe that support of the community to expand our work, to welcome us into their shuls and schools and community centers so that we become a household world. This is where you go, this is what you do, this is where you get help, so that long term we really can say we don't need Shalom Task Force anymore.
We just want to wish Mommy Mazel Tov on behalf of all of our siblings, grandchildren, great-grandchild. We're so proud of everything that you have done and continue to do, and Hashem should give you the strength to continue until 120, along with Daddy, in all the work you do for the Shalom Task Force and all of Klal Yisrael.
Amen. We love you.
We've come so far because of organizations like Shalom Task Force that the world is a better place for us.
People are really struggling, and people need to know that there are resources that can help them.
Volunteering for Shalom Task Force doesn't just mean doing something good, it means opening up yourself to like a world of possibility, making differences in areas that you didn't even know existed, and helping your community in ways that you didn't even know you could.
It's been really remarkable being able to look back at the last 30 years of work Shalom Task Force has accomplished with people like Esther Williams. At the same time, it's been really exciting being able to look at the future at people like Gabby and Hannah and the work they're doing now, and how the two generations and everyone involved is being able to work together to help Shalom Task Force complete its mission of creating safe families, healthy relationships, and a more supportive community.